Hi, it's Dion here. I just wanted to jump on and talk about some stuff. The last video I made, I was my objective was to make a video talking about the stigma surrounding opiate replacement therapy, like Suboxone and Methadone, and even Vivitrol, and also, there's a stigma just surrounding being an addict to heroin or opiates in general, especially heroin though. They really look down on it, and when it comes to the law enforcement, they really look down on heroin addiction. I mean, at least where I come from, I live in Las Vegas, and I know that if you get caught with a bag of meth, you get a lot more time if you get caught with a bag of heroin. I don't know why they're both illegal substances, and but they stigmatize the heroin more than they do the meth. I'm just giving an example. I only know this because when I was going to jail years ago, like 13, 14 years ago, I remember talking to people that were in there for crimes such as meth and heroin, and the girl that was in there for the meth, got a lot less time than the girl with the heroin, and she had more meth than the girl with the girl with the heroin had. The girl with the heroin had very little bit of heroin, and the girl with the meth had a much larger amount, but she still got less time because they really stigmatize heroin. It's like heroin is the evil drug, and we need to punish severely. Honestly, if they catch someone with heroin, instead of punishing them with prison time or jail time, they should be more looking for resources to help them to get them off the heroin. That would be the solution to the problem. Giving somebody time in jail or in prison is not the solution to the problem. Okay? All it does is clean them up and make it twice as likely for them to overdose and kill themselves the moment they get out of jail. Every time I went to jail, my main objective was to get out and use. I would always go to jail with $30 or $40 in cash, and I never spent a dime of it in jail. I didn't buy myself commissary or anything like that. I would save it, and the moment I got released from jail, I was calling the dope dealer to get my dope, and I was really risking myself going into an overdose because I was clean for the most time I ever did in jail was 22 days, but being clean for 22 days and then going back to using heroin. But one thing about me, and I'm not trying to say this is a good thing. Okay, I'm just saying. But when I was using, I was very cautious not to use more than I needed or wanted. I was very cautious about the amount that I used, basically, because I knew the dangers of overdosing, and I never wanted to overdose. That would scare the hell out of me. So I was very cautious about the amount that I used. If I went to jail and I got out, I knew that I hadn't used in a while, so the smart thing would be to use half of the dose that I would normally use, and leave it at that. You know, does that mean that what I was doing was good? No, of course not. But I was smart in the way that I used because, in my opinion, but my reasoning for using wasn't so much about overdose. It was about ruining my high. If I used more than my body required at that point in time, I would just fall asleep, and I would waste the whole high. I would spend my high being asleep, and I didn't want to waste it being asleep. I wanted to be up and enjoy it. So that's why I never used more than I really needed to use, if that makes any sense at all. But my purpose in making this video is to get down to the root of why we are stigmatizing the treatment for these substances that are killing people left and right in every which way you can speak of. So many people that are young They have their whole life in front of them, are they're throwing away their whole future by using and overdosing and dying because of it. And especially with this fentanyl, you would think people would want to rally together and say, enough is enough. We've had enough deaths in our communities. Let's work together and find solutions. And if methadone and Suboxone are the solution, I don't care if it's medication or not. If it's gonna solve the problem to a certain extent, where people are not gonna want to use, and it's gonna make them be more functional, put them back on just a straight narrow path where they can have a future in front of them with positive things and a good life. Why wouldn't we want them to have that? Even if they have to be on a medication in order to have that, it's better than them continuing on derailing their life day after day, month after month, year after year. I just think, if somebody has diabetes and, you know, they are used to eating whatever they want, and all of a sudden they've got diabetes and they have to start watching what they eat. And let's say they're not able to do that right away. They're still fumbling through the situation by eating some of the wrong foods, and their blood sugar is still out of whack. But they're taking medication that helps control it, control the situation. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. So they're taking medication to control the situation because they're not able to quite get their eating habits under control. We don't penalize people like that. We don't say, well, you can't be on this medication, or you're a bad person because you're on this medication, and you're cheating because you're on this medication. No, we say you need the medication to control your blood sugar. It's a very necessary thing that needs to be done, and we applaud them for doing the right thing by getting on the medication and doing the right thing with their life and their health. But we don't do that with heroin addiction and methadone. Somebody gets on methadone, we don't say, bravo, you're doing a great job. Good for you for getting down to the nitty gritty and really, doing something about the drug addiction you've got and making the right choice to get help. Because the moment they start on methadone, I understand that they start you at a very low dose. Now, when I started on methadone, I was in a hospital, and they put me up to the dose that was most appropriate for me, that took care of my withdrawal symptoms, took care of the craving. They did it all in one day. They don't normally do it in a methadone clinic. You start out at 30 milligrams, and you go up 10 milligrams a day until you hit 80. And at 80, they hold you for, I forget how long they hold you, several days or something like that. Then you can continue to go up 10 milligrams, I believe, a day until you get up to the milligram that you feel most comfortable at. And I know where I live in Las Vegas, I only know of one clinic that lets you go high, really high, like 200 milligrams, that type of high. But most clinics that I know and that I've gone to out here, and I've been to a total of 3 clinics out here in the last 13 years. Those clinics, only the highest clinic I've ever gone to, they allowed you to go up to 130 milligrams. And the other 2 was 120. At one time I was at 130, but now I'm on 103 because I realize I don't need quite that much, that 103 milligrams is just enough to keep withdrawal at bay, keep cravings at 0, no cravings whatsoever, and it serves its purpose. Not forever. If there's ever a situation where I was feeling like I was craving, or I was having any type of withdrawal symptoms, I would immediately tell the nurses when I went in to get my medication. I would tell them, I'm noticing different things. I may need to up my dose a little. sometimes in the summertime, you up your dose a little because when you're sweating in the summertime, you sweat out the methadone. So you need a little, you need a bit more of it because you're sweating out some of it through your pores. I'm so sorry that it's early in the morning for me, so usually in the morning, my voice is usually hoarse. I don't know why that is, but it's just something I deal with. Um, but um, sorry. What was I saying? I totally lost my train of thought. Um, so there's only a couple clinics that let you go over 130 milligrams. But like I was saying, I'm at 103 and I feel stable. And I was saying that in summertime you might want to go higher because of you sweating out some of the methadone in your pores, and you may need to go a bit higher in the summertime. Okay, those are some things to think about. Um, but this stigma that's going around, the methadone is bad, and if you get on it, a lot of this roots back to AA and NA. Not just them. There's other groups too, like your families, your friends, communities. People get mad when they see that you're going to put a methadone clinic in their community because they just say, "Oh, we're going to have all these street bums here, bad people selling drugs outside the clinic." I don't know what goes on at other clinics, but I've never gone to a clinic in all the 13 years that I've been going to clinics where I noticed people selling drugs outside my clinic, or a lot of negative stuff. People really came there to get their dose of methadone, and then they were on their way. They left. They didn't hang around the clinic too much. When I first started going to the clinic 13 years ago, there was a McDonald's in the same little plaza area where the clinic was, and I made a couple of friends at the clinic. I didn't really have any friends, and this one lady befriended me, and we became very good close friends over the time. My friend passed away several years ago. She was a smoker, and she had breathing issues, and she was in the hospital, and she consequently died because of her breathing issues. She wasn't getting enough oxygen in her body, and her hands and her feet went black from lack of oxygen. Very sad way to die, and I was devastated to hear that she'd passed away. But anyway, we used to sit and hang at the McDonald's for an hour or so before and after the clinic. And I enjoyed doing that because I had no friends, and it was nice to be around people that we were all sober, and people really mistook or mistake clinics for being something bad. And the clinics I've dealt with over the last 13 years have been anything but bad. They've been really positive environments to go to. And I really don't know where they get this idea that putting in a methadone clinic is gonna, bring the community down in some way. All it can do is help. All it's gonna do is help. It's gonna help people that are down and out on drugs, help them find a solution to the problem, help them bring normalcy to their life. That is, if they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. But I do know of people that were on methadone that did nothing about with their life even after they got on methadone. The point of getting on methadone is to change your quality of life for the better. If you get on methadone and that's all you do is get on methadone and you still do nothing to improve the quality of your life, like look for work, have a stable source of income coming in where you can provide housing for yourself and all those little things, and making amends with relationships that were fragmented during your addiction. Those are all things that should be done within the first couple of years of being in sobriety. But if you're still doing things like, doing other substances, like my friend that passed away, she was an alcoholic. And the first several years that I knew her, she was drinking beer every day. I didn't judge her for it. I still liked her. We were friends. She knew I didn't drink. She respected that fact. But I knew that she had a drinking problem. She would have the shakes in the morning if she didn't get her drink. But near the end there, before she passed away, she ended up quitting drinking. I was really very proud of her. And she finally put an end to that nasty habit. And she was doing well there for a while. And I was really very proud of her for doing what she did. But anyway, a lot of people don't give up the vices, the other vices that they have, like let it be alcohol, methamphetamine, cocaine, and even marijuana. I know it's legal in most states, and it's something that people think is a cool thing to do or an okay thing to do. I think for an addict, I think it's a slippery slope to be smoking marijuana because whether it's legal or not, you know yourself. I mean, if you're the type of person that you could use marijuana and it wouldn't make you want to use other drugs or put you in a state of mind where you're thinking, damn, this isn't the high I'm looking for. So you go out in search of what you're really looking for, which is an opiate of some sort. But, sorry. I, for one, know that if I was to have a drink, it would immediately make me think, well, this isn't the high I'm looking for. I'm looking for a buzz closer to heroin feeling. And I was under the influence of the marijuana, and I'm not speaking about this from experience. I've never experienced this because I haven't done it. But if I did do it, I'm thinking I'm predicting how it would go. I would probably feel like I'd have to get some heroin. And if I got heroin, it would be a waste of time because I'm on a high enough dose of methadone that there's another thing I don't know if I ever mentioned, that methadone is a blocker. When you get to be at a high enough dose of methadone, that's why you want to get to a high enough dose where it blocks the effects of all other opiates. If you go and use any other kind of opiate, you're not going to feel the effects of it. It's going to block all those pleasurable effects that we use the drug for in the first place. And after you do that once or twice, you realize it's a waste of money to use the drug at all because you're not going to feel any of the effects from it. But and that's why I don't really dip into things like marijuana at this point because I know it would just be a complete waste of time for me because I would do it and I would be disappointed that it's not the high I'm looking for. And even though I'm not looking for any high right now, I'm very content where I am and I'm okay. I have no cravings to use. But if I was to use marijuana, I'd be using it for all the wrong reasons. I'd be using it for one objective, to get a high from it. And once I got that high, it would be like disappointing that it wasn't the high I was looking for. Because I have smoked marijuana in my life. I know what it feels like. And I know that's not the feeling I'm looking for. And it would only make me feel like I want to use the drug that I'm really looking for. Sorry, text message. But anyway, I think we need to start rallying together and putting things in perspective and understanding that, it's important for us to uh, take into consideration the fact that um, that no matter what the treatment is out there, as long as it's something that's a positive treatment and it's not going to add to our addiction in any way, and it's going to help us recover from the addiction we have. I mean, that sounds to me like a positive situation, and um, I just think we should stop judging people for whatever choice of treatment they choose. Whatever choice of treatment you choose, it should be respected. People should back off, let you do what you know is best for you. I mean, nobody knows your body and what you require as far as treatment other than you. So, I think it's wrong and unfair for us to judge people for the for their choice of path of recovery. It's your path, it's your route, and it should be your choice what path you want to take. And you know your addiction better than anyone. You know how badly your addiction is affecting your life. So you know that while serious it is and what type of recovery is going to be what best suited for you. If you know just going to AA and NA meetings is just not going to be enough structure, enough for you to stay clean. If you're still going to be struggling with enormous cravings and you're not going to feel like you can deal with having those kind of cravings on a daily basis without running to the drugs to relieve you of that feeling, then I would suggest looking into medication assisted treatment. There's more than one option. There's 3 medications total, but Vivitrol is a blocker. It blocks the effects of opiates. But let me tell you, the downside of it is although it blocks the effects of opiates, it does not block cravings. You can take Vivitrol and have enormous cravings. And if you take Vivitrol, you cannot take any opiates because it'll make you very sick. You'll go into precipitated withdrawal, which is for the worst type of withdrawal you can go through. It's really bad. So I would strongly urge you to think about that decision before you make it. It shouldn't be something you just jump into. You should think about it long and hard before you just decide, oh yeah, I'm going to get a Vivitrol. That's what I need. I'm not discouraging it. If you think that's what you need, it's going to help you. By all means, do what is going to work for you. But just keep in mind that if you ever have a slip up and you use that Vivitrol is going to kick into power, and it's going to cause you to get very ill, very quick. And it's an illness and it's a sickness that's incomprehensible. If you think heroin withdrawal in itself is bad, try going into precipitated withdrawal. It's 3 times as bad, 4 times as bad. It's really bad. I know because I took naloxone one time when I was pregnant with my daughter. About an hour or so, 45 minutes after I just shot heroin, I got so completely, disgustingly sick that I can't even begin to explain to you. I had a seizure. It was awful. I won't get into the details of it, but it was really bad. It was the worst thing I've ever experienced. It was just the worst thing ever. And I'm just telling you that if you think that the cravings is a big part of why you can't stay clean, then Vivitrol is not the right choice for you. Because if there's even a small chance that you're gonna want to use again because the cravings are more than you can handle, then you should be more looking at something on the lines of methadone because it'll curb the cravings. I mean, some people like myself and most people that take the right dose that's appropriate for them, it should block all cravings altogether. And you should be able to move forward with your life and not even think about these cravings that you're dealing with. I just think we as a community, all the communities in this country, have to come together and say, we're not going to judge you for whatever choice of treatment you choose, because all choices, in our opinion, are positive choices. Whatever choice you make to better your life and your quality of life and be less of a nuisance on society, and you're going to get your life together and be a positive role model for other people to see that heroin addiction or opiate addiction is very treatable and and you can get your life back. That's all I really wanted to talk about today, was we've got to stop judging people for the choice they make as far as the treatment they get into. Because NA and AA does not work for everyone. In fact, statistically speaking, it doesn't work for about 80% of heroin and opiate addicts. Okay? It only works for 15 to 20% of people. And that's stretching it a bit, okay? Because I don't even think it's that great of a number. For the most part, people need other alternatives to get off heroin or other strong opiates like fentanyl. To just quit cold turkey is very difficult and very scary for most addicts. I know it scared the hell out of me, and I would have never willingly allow myself to go into withdrawal on my own. I would have never done it. If that was the only option, I would have stayed using forever. So I just hope and pray that people start being a little bit more compassionate for people that are struggling with an opiate addiction of some sort. And open their hearts, open their minds to the fact that there are options out there for treatment. And, don't be so close-minded to think, well, if you don't do it through the NA or AA, well, it's not real, it's not legit. It's bullshit. For something as hardcore as heroin addiction, you need something strong like medication-assisted treatment to intervene on you to get you to a point where you can really have a life in front of you and feel good about yourself and feel good and solid in your recovery. See, I feel solid in my recovery right now. I feel like unshakable and unbreakable. I'm not cocky about it. I know that if I make the wrong decision in some way, shape, or form, I could be right back at square one. I'm not stupid about that. I'm not stupid about the fact that a relapse could just as easily happen for me as it could the next person. I'm not blind to that fact. I'm not naive to it. And I walk the walk with my eyes wide open and very clear-headed about the reality of things. I know that every day that I get to live my life clean and sober is a gifted day, is a day that I need to be thankful for and feel very grateful for. And I try to take on every day and be appreciative for each day that I get to be clean and have a life that's beyond my wildest dreams at this point. I'm getting ready to have a career path in front of me where I'll get to do something positive with my life if all goes well. I'm still waiting on my high school transcripts to come through in order for me to get that internship. And I'm worried about that, even though I shouldn't be, but I worry a lot. It's one of my biggest problems is that I worry too much. I worry about everything. If it can be worried about, I worry about it. I can't get past that fact. But I just hope that people start opening up their minds and not have such a closed-minded opinion about treatment options for opiate and heroin addicts. It's a very stigmatized disease of addiction, heroin is. They look at it as a dirty drug, and it's this and it's that. And yes, they're right. The opinion of heroin is it is a dirty back alley drug. But that's not the opinion of the people. They're not dirty people. They're people that are struggling with an addiction that they have lost control over. You know, and when I say loss of control, I don't mean loss of control like it's their fault. Nobody asks to be an addict. Nobody wakes up one day and says, gee, today's Tuesday, the 24th of May. I think today I'm going to start becoming an addict. It doesn't work that way. You know, for whatever reason it is, you use for the first time. I used for the first time because my boyfriend was an addict, and I thought it would help me be closer to him, help me understand his addiction better, and help me be able to help him through his addiction better. But it didn't work out that way. What it did is it swallowed me whole. And I became an addict almost instantaneously. But that's my story. That may not be yours. Whatever reason your reason is for using that first time, you know what the reason was, and that's a personal story to you, and nobody should judge you for why you did what you did. If you had any idea that this was going to be the end result, I know in my heart that none of you would have done it. You did something because you just wanted to try something for whatever reason it was, and you may have in your mind thought you had a good reason for wanting to try this. I thought I had a good reason, but I know now I should have never tried it. It was the wrong decision to make. But I'm human. I make mistakes. It just so happens, though, if that's the one mistake you make in life, it could be catastrophic. That's the one mistake you don't want to make, is try a drug, because the consequences can be dire. It could cost you your life in the process. I try to teach my kids, don't ever even try it, because it could not only ruin your life, it could end your life. Thank God none of my kids have explored any type of hardcore drug. My oldest son recreationally smokes marijuana, but he's even talked to me recently about putting an end to that soon, because the job that he wants to get into, he thinks he needs to really be in his right state of mind all the time. So he's got a good head on his shoulders, and I don't think drugs are ever going to be a big problem in his life. I just hope and pray that my kids are smart enough to know that all it takes is trying it one time. I'm sorry, my voice is just awful. I just hope my kids never try anything, because that one time could be the one time that ruins their life and ends their life. But I'm going to end this video now because my voice is just absolutely going. Oh God, it's so bad. But talk to you again soon. Take it easy, guys. Have a great day.